This is actually something that I thought about talking with. I probably talked with both of you guys about. So one of the kind of themes that we talk about with the podcast is finding your voice in relation to art and poetry and what is good and beautiful and those kind of things. And that's true, I think, in any art that you pursue, like whether it would be a craft or something like that, and that really is kind of the bridge that you just touched on from practical use. So one step is just being able to do practical use. Like, when is it that I'm actually going to be able to put boards together and they'll stay where they're supposed to be? When am I going to be able to stay in timing between the verse and the chorus and hold my hands without them cramping? Jiu-jitsu, when am I going to be able to just actually armbar somebody, choke someone out instead of just getting choked out myself the entire time? So some practical use, but then evolving into eventually some sort of self-expression, putting my stamp on something. What is my path and my game and my voice? And that's a considerably more complex thing to find in that, because you have to have a lot more deep understanding of the art or the craft that you're pursuing, and you have to interact with it yourself for a long time, and you have to learn about yourself. It's really pretty remarkable that there's ever young artists that have a unique voice, because honestly they probably don't know a lot about themselves, but there is something unique about
they found
them.
That one vein and
somehow they are just really unique. But I think as you grow and you get older and you learn more about life, and you learn, like, you just start having things to say and having understandings of numerous things. So
but I think the downside can be with some art is it can be once it gets over curated. You know what I mean? Which is good in a way of a good way of thinking about things and like working out problems. But you can also get in your head with music, like, whereas if a lot of 19-year-olds don't know shit about music, but they're just letting it flow out and
maybe they come with something
cool
good
song.
for a second.
Right, exactly. But that's not to
that can be part of the path, I think, for sure. I mean, like when Derek and I make fun of doing too much with the bass,
right?
We went through a phase, both of us, really, that trying to show off that you know this much stuff and then having to learn that's not the place of what you're supposed to be doing here. Like, you're trying to be front and center, and you're not.
Right.
That's not your role. Like, you're not the front.
It sounds like that for sure. Even though sometimes you're just having fun because you've learned how to do something new on your instrument. But then everyone is doing that, and it sounds like
that was
true.
There's a place for it, though. That too.
Yeah. But when is it tasteful? When is it tasteful? I mean, and look at the stuff of building in a building. You could be like, I learned a new technique, I'm going to put it everywhere, and it's like, no, that looks like shit.
Right.
So where is it tasteful to do?
Not even just tasteful, but meaningful, and that's, for me, songwriter wise, like, I can't. It's harder for me to write anything now because I'm like, am I putting too much thought into it? And is it meaningful, or is it just meaningful because it means something to me?
Yeah.
And then you just get in this headspace, and I think that's where a lot of writer's block comes from. We were talking about writer's block.
Where it's just like not knowing what to do. Like, should I put this music out? Should I wait till I have the perfect thing? What is that perfect thing?
Yeah, and so, like, in our younger days, or in my younger days, like, writing music is like,
you just do it.
I'm just fuck.
You
I
just do it and you put it out.
And it sounds cool, and this guy likes it, and this guy likes it, and
the more you
play that
it's
with
almost like the more you find your voice, the more you're afraid to use it, or something like that.
No, that's a very good point.
Over time, it
so like you're becoming conscious of it as it's coming out.
Like, I'm a music teacher. I can't put out music. They're gonna
Yeah.
No, there's
they'll
a
expose me.
great
I want to
That's why the
express myself
Beatles were not
musically.
together for so long. They put out all this great music, and it was like, oh shit. Or
Now we're the
gonna go
Beatles.
from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we do now?
Not to compare myself to the Beatles, but I mean,
Close.
No, and I actually had a friend a few years ago, even though it's been super long since I've written anything, who asked me about writing. Ryan asked me about have you written anything recently, and I said no, and he said why not, and I said most of the stuff that I have to say can't go in a song. That's how I feel. Like
doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
And you hear artists that you loved as in your youth, or I'm
No,
not,
Jai and I have had the same conversation that you're probably about to caveat.
This is an arbitrary example, but let's say I loved Pearl Jam back in the day, and now they're writing songs where I'm like, well, you just kind of sound like a political activist, and it doesn't really mean
inspiration
anything
gets lost, and I think that might tie into the fact that so you just start to overthink things, which again I think is a good path in a lot of other parts of life, but not necessarily with music.
Well, and that's kind of personally where I've come, because I've written a handful of songs in the last year or so. Nothing that I've really showed anybody, but it has little to do with what it used to be about. It used to be about like wanting to show it to people, and now it's about like, well, this is just kind of what vomits out of me. It's
You
like,
should be putting those out then.
well, but it's
Even if it's you on your guitar.
but it just becomes,
It's an outlet too that it becomes necessary. I think like when you've
Don't
been doing
overthink
it for
type
so
thing.
long too. But when we first moved back here from California, I didn't play drums for a long time, months. We were busy.
Months. Long time. 2-3 months at least.
Yeah, well, that was probably about it. 3 or 4 months, maybe.
Felt like isn't that funny though that felt like that's the longest you've ever gone.
It's the longest I've ever gone since I was 11.
2-3 months.
Or something. But the thing that I realized, I was actually just like mentally just not feeling great or up. I don't know, whatever, because I didn't articulate till later what it was. And sometimes I just need to blow off some steam. Like, I'm just bringing my drums to the space and just gonna play. And I played for like 3 or 4 hours with my headphones in. Thought it was 30 minutes, and I was like, I need to keep doing this apparently, because this is like it's a balance issue that I did not realize
to put things away
existed
from
until
you.
it was gone.